When the right people come together at the right moment, when they care almost as much about winning as they do about each other, they can become the best of the best.
Welcome to the best soccer show, the best soccer show in the whole world.
Here we go! It's the best soccer show. Jason Davis, Jared Dubois. He's over there. He's right there. We're live. It's Thursday.
I got it right. I pointed the right way.
You did. If you point and I point, we do that thing where our fingers touch. So, my reference for that is E.T., but is there some anime situation where we go? Okay. It's getting weird now.
Fingered each other.
Watch the video. No, it's too early.
Oh.
It's too early. We have to, the music has to even drop out for at least a second before you can do stuff like that. I'm just saying.
E.T. turn on your highlight.
We are live. It is Thursday. We are talking about American soccer. And so there are a couple of things to get into here right off the bat, Jared. And I don't think we've talked since the word came out that Gregg Berhalter and Gio Reyna have had a conversation.
I think you're going to say Taylor Swift and Kelsey.
Oh, I don't care about that. Do you care about that, dude?
I don't, but my wife for some reason really does, and won't stop talking about it.
Does she?
So she's talked about it enough that now my phone thinks I'm interested in it, and so my TikToks are showing up with that crap.
So you're getting a lot of Travis Kelsey and Taylor Swift coupling stuff.
I need to do this real quick to let my phone know. Aliens, UAPs.
Okay, forget all that.
Paranormal.
Aliens don't exist. Aliens don't exist. Aliens don't exist. Sorry, that's my personal opinion. We'll get into that.
I don't believe
later.
you. I don't believe you.
That might be a bonus show topic. I might have to play the skeptic.
A hot take.
I might have to play the skeptic for Jared Dubois. No,
I don't want you to play a skeptic. If you're going to be skeptic, I want to know you truly believe it or not. And that's what you just put out there.
Well, we'll talk about it. I'll tell you my real feelings on that.
Okay.
Maybe it's a bit, maybe it's not.
Are you a
you don't know.
skeptic that Berhalter and Gio actually did talk?
No, I believe they did. I know, I understand. There's this part of my brain that's it's the dad part of my brain, right? It's the rational thinking part of my brain that goes, if your kid gets into a fight, you don't immediately jump to, oh, that guy, that little punk, I'm going to go kick his ass. I'm going to go beat up his dad. You have to rationally understand that maybe your kid played a role in the fight. Your kid did something wrong. Our kids do something wrong, right? That happens every now and then. Sometimes our kids screw up. This is the part of my brain that thinks like that is the one that thinks, I get it. We can't get a lot of detail. It's not like Matt Crocker. I'm sorry, what's his name? What's he called?
Joe Cocker?
Joe Cocker. It's not like Joe Cocker is going to give us a full report. Here's a readout of the president when he calls some foreign country. We're not going to get that. And yet I'm so pissed off, so annoyed that we know nothing except they made contact. Yeah, just go on about your business. They made contact.
Yeah, and Cocker's no, don't worry, dudes. We got this. It's handled. Really?
No, right.
I was seeing Gio posting on Instagram beef crushed.
The headphones and the glasses. I'm just going to own that. They're not working, so I'm going to have to go to sans glasses for this episode. No, they were lifting off my eyes because
I got glasses for the first time.
Yeah, you just now
for this last week or so.
You're 40 years old.
Something.
You only just got glasses for the first time in your life.
I'm genetically superior than most people.
Wait, hold on. Careful where you're going with that.
In my family.
Okay.
Because I'm the last holdout. Everyone else, old and young, has glasses except for me, and I finally had to do it.
That's good. I'm glad that it took you that long before your eyes changed. I'm in a place now. This is where I'm at. I know we've just gone off topic wildly, but I'm at a place now where I wear these glasses because I am nearsighted, right? These help me see things that are far away. And I've been nearsighted since I was a teenager when my eyes changed and I stopped being able to hit a baseball very well and it pissed me off. And I changed to contacts for a while, but, I still got the glasses. Sometimes I don't put the contacts in. Now I'm at a place, and they told me this was going to happen when I went for the laser eye surgery evaluation when they tried to sell you. They said, we can fix the nearsightedness so that you'll be able to see well far away, but your eyes are still going to change, and you'll still need glasses to do things like reading. And I was like, wait,
so what? You're just telling me this is a scam?
So now, they were honest about it. They still said you should do it, and I was like, no, I don't think so. Now it's like I need the glasses to see far away, but I can't read something that's close with my glasses on because my eyes have, this is something that happens to everybody. They start doing that thing where the newspaper gets farther. Newspapers are not a thing anybody does anymore, but you have to put the book farther away. Actually, books aren't a thing anybody does anymore. Whatever you might be reading, you have to,
your phone. Your phone.
So now, like, do I get reading glasses so that I'm constantly switching my glasses?
Oh, that sucks.
Do I go bifocals? Like, what
it's
do
like
I
that
do?
scene in The Office when he talks about his reverse circumcision, like snip, snap, snip, snap. Like,
I mean, these are the things I have to deal with now. I wonder if Gregg Berhalter wears contacts or glasses.
No, I wonder how much SPF he has to put on his head for day games.
Yeah, well, there's that. So,
right,
okay,
do you believe this is actually quashed, or is this just he did the bare minimum he needed to say that to move past this initially?
I saw somebody say I'm over it. Jackie says over it. I get that's the sentiment. That's the bucket I fall in. It's not that I'm done with this because I want Gio to be part of the team and I still think there's work to do. But I am at the point where, like, don't even bother telling us anything anymore. Just call the kid up when he's healthy. He shows up in camp, and we pretend everything's good. Like,
True
now
or
just
false?
pretend.
True or false?
Hold on. Like parents who had a really bad fight and were talking about divorce and suddenly decide to stay together. Don't tell the kids anything else. Just go on as if everything is normal.
Only
just pretend like you fixed it.
The makeup sex was really good. That's all they really need to know. So true or false?
No, there's so many thoughts. Really? There's so many.
I didn't mean Gio. I was just thinking in general, but wow, now I'm thinking about that. Yeah, I didn't even mean it that way. So true or false? Gio comes to this camp and he appears for a press conference at any point.
He will, if he is healthy enough to come into the camp, he will not appear at a press. I think he's probably going to be healthy enough to at least get called in.
He's making the bench.
I don't think he will do a press conference. Nope. I do not think he will.
Even if you think he scored, let's say he scores 2 goals and an assist in that game in Germany, he doesn't get the microphone after the game?
I don't think so.
Wow.
I think
that really makes me feel that it's not truly dead then. If that was
I think that's part of I don't think Gio wants to do it. And I think that they are
most players
careful.
Want to do press.
No, that's true, but I think that Gio in particular at this moment with this thing facing those questions.
I think U.S. Soccer has an onus to address the questions and the conversations that the media is having around the camp. And this is one of the conversations things that's going on around the camp.
Hold on. I think it's wrong that Gio hasn't done a single moment of press availability since all this went down. I think that's absolutely bonkers that hasn't happened. We get into this place of like, what does U.S. Soccer owe the media and therefore us in terms of transparency and all those things? I mean, they're a member service organization that nominally runs soccer in America, but not really. But they control the national teams, and therefore they have access to our best players when they represent the U.S. And should they make Gio available? I think they should. I'm media, by the way. I don't know if you know this, Jared, but
Big J.
I have a radio show.
Wait, that's media?
WNBC.
Technically speaking, radio is a medium. So yes, that is media. I do occasionally I get credentialed for stuff. Like they let me go places. It's pretty cool, actually. Yeah, I get to go cover soccer games sometimes.
You get to eat the popcorn in the press box, huh?
Popcorn? Have I ever had popcorn? I don't know if I've ever had popcorn.
Dried chicken?
I've had like some really good food and some
box lunches.
I've had some pretty bad ones. Yes, lots of box lunches. Like a sandwich and then a cup of coleslaw, like a little cup.
Oh, you
like
can't
a little
have
cup
the room
of,
temperature coleslaw
a ramekin of coleslaw. You want a sandwich and a ramekin?
I can't.
Yeah,
do
barbecue chicken, pulled chicken, and ramekin. A ramekin. Yeah. So I think they should make Gio available. I think they should talk about it. I think they should be upfront about it.
Here's what I want to hear from the Athletic. This is a side thing, but based on what we were just talking about, I think the Athletic needs to do a cover story. There's no cover on them, but they need to do an in-depth journalistic piece.
Sound really
old in-depth right now. Journalistic piece. Get all the best Big J soccer journos in the country together. Okay. Top 10 power ranking of best food in MLS press boxes.
Every now and then somebody gets a wild hair up there, on the X, and they'll be like, formerly Twitter, and they'll be like, here's my rankings of the best press box food in the country. It's happened before. I haven't been to enough press boxes to be like.
Is it done with soccer though? Because that's sports on a budget in this country.
I
NFL's got different kind of money putting out there.
Well, okay, maybe it's not a ranking, but I do think I've seen like Palomauer and those kind of guys. Like, the food in this place is really good. The food in that place is really good. That kind of.
I miss it.
This falls under the heading of that thing that people do sometimes on social media, particularly X or Twitter or whatever. And I'm not there anymore, so I don't see it as I used to. But that thing people do, and I know people fly a lot. When they fly a lot, they form opinions. And I've flown plenty, and I've covered games. Maybe it's because I don't fly every month or I'm not making 6 or 8 trips a year. But that thing of like, this is the best airport or that's the best airport or this airline does X, Y, or Z better. I know people have preferences. I guess I just don't think about them that specifically to be like, yeah, this airline's so much better than that one. Get me from point A to
you
point
love
B.
all your children equally, and every girl you've ever dated is just as hot as the other one.
No, my wife is hotter than all of the other women I've ever dated in my entire life. That's obvious.
Hey, Nick, can you clip that for her? Just so
my
she
wife
knows?
is my wife is the United Airlines of. I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know.
That's the one you
maybe.
choose?
Maybe no. That's what I'm saying. I don't have it in my head to be like this is the best airline. I'm sure that they exist.
All right, so Gio's back in camp. Let's say he's there. What is the thing you're looking for that tells you, hey, there's still issues, or hey, the hatchet is buried? What are some things that the average soccer fan should be looking for that tells us if they truly move past this?
I mean,
and will we even have anything that can tell us?
What do I want to happen, or what I think is like
what are things like if Gio doesn't start, is that a problem?
No, not at all. After the injury, no. In this particular window, no, not a problem at all. No.
Even though Taylor Adams is in almost the exact same place Gio is in recovery.
Yeah. Tyler won't start either. I don't think Tyler should start.
You think they're both be on the bench?
I think it's possible, yeah. I think it's possible that they're both there for the ride.
I don't know, man. If they're both good enough to be on the bench at their club
maybe
team.
get minutes late in either game. I don't think you start either one. I don't think if we know anything about Gregg Berhalter, it's the man is overly careful sometimes with this stuff. And I think that he's probably going to, have a full-on Zoom meeting with Bournemouth about Tyler's status and talk to Dortmund and trade reports about, just how fit these guys are. And then he's going to say, well, they're going to come in and be part of the camp because they're part of our team and they're healthy enough to be here and train, but we're not going to roll them out in a game, in actual competition, depending on how you view that, because it's risky or because they're not ready yet. I mean, Tyler played 20 minutes of a League Cup match. And Gio hasn't even played yet, right? Gio's been on the bench, but hasn't played yet.
I think for most people, we wonder if the Gio thing seems to be more like he and Terzic just don't seem to be eye to eye. That goes back to last season when he was.
You think
healthy.
that's where that's at? Because
I don't think Terzic
really
believes
hard
in him.
to tell.
I don't think he believes in him.
Well, okay.
What do we have that shows that he believes in him since he took over that team?
I mean, it's because it's coming out of Germany, it's kind of spotty in terms of like what we actually hear. And I'm sure if you really paid close attention, you could go find the German quotes and then translate them and maybe get a better vibe on how Terzic views Gio. But I really think that this is almost entirely down to Gio's health and fitness. I just think that you don't
but he
rely
wouldn't be on the bench
the
then, right?
What do you mean?
Why would they put him on the bench if they don't believe in his fitness?
No, what I'm saying is that Terzic, you said Terzic doesn't believe in him. Yeah. Terzic isn't going to, and again, I don't even know how to view his status now relative to what his injury situation is, right? He dressed for PSG and he dressed on the weekend.
Yeah, that's fair. But last season, it at least made sense. Gio was healthy, scoring goals from the bench. And it made sense that he wasn't getting a lot of game time because the team was performing so well with the players they had on the very end of the season run, trying to match Bayern Munich.
They were unbeaten from November until I think like
Julian Brandt was on fire at that time. Dortmund is not having a good start to their season. It doesn't seem like it's going to be nearly as hard to break in this time as it was last time, and he's still in limited opportunities, not even getting a minute.
But he's not okay.
If you believed him, you'd be trying to get him in 10, 20 minutes here and there and try to bring him into shape, right?
Maybe. I guess you could argue that. I think that's a very
They're
hard
behind at PSG.
reading. What?
They were behind at PSG, weren't they?
Yeah, but okay. I mean, again, you would have to really, I don't know. I think you have to be really negative about Terzic's view on Gio based on limited information to think that just because he didn't play against PSG, and they beat Wolfsburg 1-0 or something. Is that right?
I think my point was that if you're in a position where you need a goal, this is a guy from the position you have put him in on the bench. Has shown you he has a track record of being able to contribute goals off the bench last season in big moments.
Okay, so you're saying that you don't dress him unless he's healthy enough to get on the field at some point, and because you didn't put him on the field at some point, that's an indication that you don't believe in him. Why dress him at all?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
So, but that cuts against your argument then, right? Because Terzic is saying we have limited spots on our bench. I know we're in a 5 substitute era, but we have limited spots on our bench. We're going to give one to the 21-year-old or whatever he is now, and who's not 100% fit because why? Because it makes him feel good? Like, is that the idea that they're bringing him along?
I'm not sure. Maybe it's to showcase the fact he's healthy enough to be available for the January transfer window. I mean, there's rumors out there now.
There are rumors out there. Now, I don't know that that's January. I think those rumors are more about the summer next year. But there are rumors that have linked Giovanni Reyna to AC Milan, where, I mean, if that happens, we're just calling them US AC Milan.
Who knows?
Okay, whatever. January, but that's the thing. It's interest, right? Yeah. AC Milan has expressed interest in Gio Reyna, and the tweet I saw from one of the U.S. men's national team aggregator Twitter accounts that, just goes out and grabs everybody's stuff and posts it, said something like, Stefano Pioli has green-lighted or has given his approval to signing Giovanni Reyna. And, I mean, what does that mean? It means a heap of nothing until an offer is made or we hear 8 or 12 rumors. They're coming out of Germany and they're coming out of Italy. I think it was Fichajes.
The hard part is...
Hold on. It was Fichajes.net that posted this. They're not... they're not... I mean, we're talking about, 1 out of 100 rumors that Fichajes.net posts actually leads to something.
I mean, also, I have a hard time seeing how if Pioli doesn't change his formation, how Gio works into that. They don't play with an advanced midfielder.
No. I mean, they play with 3 central mids and a 4-3-3.
3 central mids, yeah. And Loftus-Cheek tends to be on one side. They play the center midfielder deeper.
Gio does not defend enough to be a central midfielder in that. I mean... Okay, if
you're gonna have Rafael Leao and Christian Pulisic up there, not contributing too much to the defense, it seems like it's
Christian is actually a better defender than maybe we think of him as. I mean, he's a good he presses well, he does some things well, but Gio, and when I say he's not a central midfielder, he doesn't give you enough defensive work in a 4-3-3 as a central midfielder. I say that as we have discussed and as people are chomping at the bit for Gio to get into the U.S. 4-3-3 and play in midfield, play ahead of a pair of holding midfielders or find some way to give him freedom.
But that's because we saw it work in the summer. That's why people want to see it. We saw it work there.
Yeah. I mean, we saw that. We saw it work.
Here's what I'm thinking. To go back to the Berhalter.
Is 2 games against Mexico and Canada, is that like the light coming down from heaven? And again, this is BJ Callahan. BJ Callahan saying Gio can play this. That's the way of the world. Greg, if you don't do it, you're an idiot.
The Twitter fanboy way it's gonna go down, though, right? There's legitimate reasons why you wouldn't start Gio Reyna in this game. Fitness. There's a lot of reasons. You may just want to see different options instead. There's reasons why you may not do this. But if he doesn't, it's going to be this beef isn't over. Gio's already shown that he can play and he should be a starter in this team.
Oh,
why
but that's okay.
Fire Gregg Berhalter.
That's not a thing that should dictate any decision-making on the part of Gregg Berhalter, Matt Crocker, whoever might have a hand in how any of this goes, right? And I actually, I'm not thrilled about Berhalter coming back. I hope he does a good job because I want my team to succeed. I want this group to go to a Copa America next year and do something. I want them to be good in 2026 in the World Cup. So I can't root against Berhalter when it comes to his leadership of the U.S. men's national team. I'm not a fan of him coming back for a second cycle, but now that he's here, what I care about is, getting this done, just at least cracking this thing open so they can finally make headway. And look, I don't know. Do you want to bother trying to get into the head of a player like Gio Reyna or a person like Gio Reyna? And
it's hard because we get so few views into him these days because he's not playing a lot and he's not active on social media. You don't get to know who he is and where his head is at. Look at everything we read into one goal celebration last season. Like, you don't really know. I don't think anyone really understands who Gio Reyna is as a person off the pitch.
Yeah,
or much about his mentality.
There are some hints in that direction. I mean, some of them are part of the whole disclosure around what his parents were doing and the noise they were making about treatment of Gio and airplane tickets and seats and stuff like that. We've seen Gio, sulk. That's fair, right? We know he threw a tantrum at the World Cup. Whether you believe that he was done wrong in the aftermath, he certainly, or maybe he was given information that was imperfect, he certainly could have handled himself better. We've already outlined that, right? And we've had somebody in the chat say that Gio Reyna's an attitude problem. I mean, I'm not ready to say that, right? I'm not ready to just label him an attitude problem because some of this stuff has been out of his hands and we really don't know. And he's so young, right? Like, I hate to be a cliche, but if you talk to me when I was 20 and 21, I mean, I wasn't somebody that you might want to be around most of the time. So I don't know. Like, is this something that is going to end his national team career? It shouldn't, right? So if that's the case, figure it out. Get him in the team. I know there's going to be debates over how Berhalter uses him.
Oh, I like this. Can we make this a thing? From Aaron Pimentel. Trying to figure out Gio's is tough. We are all geographers. Well,
he also said, I'm sorry, which, yes, you should be.
No, you should not. That is an amazing phrase that I'll be using consistently going forward and never giving him credit.
Damn, dog. That's
I don't know if I have a better one. That's
geographers.
I feel like I need a... Well, that doesn't sound... You can't say geographers.
Well, there's geographers, and it's not Geo. His name's not Gia.
Well, but geographers?
Just let me have this. Let Aaron have this.
Aaron's. It's Aaron's, not you. It's Aaron's.
I told you I'm not going to give him credit.
Stealing people's jokes and stuff over here. All right, look. I hope Gio is in this team for these friendlies against Germany and Ghana. I hope he gets on the field, although I don't expect him to start either game. I don't exactly know how Berhalter intends to use him. Maybe Berhalter throws a wrinkle. We didn't see it in the last two friendlies against Uzbekistan and Oman.
I think this is a sensible approach here from FIFA Man in the chat, and he says he doesn't have to start him, but we've never seen Berhalter play Gio centrally. So Berhalter needs to play Gio central. He at least in one of the games he doesn't have to start. He needs to play in least one of the games doesn't have to start. I think that's a fair point that you want to see Berhalter build off what we saw in the BJ Callahan era, which was short-lived, but an era.
So maybe this is my imperfect brain, but where did Gio play when the U.S. was at the Azteca, and Gio had that mazy run that nearly ended up in a goal, and we all
I think he was playing.
Was he playing on the right when did he come on?
I'm trying to think. I think he was a substitute, and I can't remember if he was on the right. He may have been in midfield, but I don't know if he was in that. Behind
that formation was not the same as
behind
the
striker formation that we saw BJ Callahan with a bucket behind him.
Dude, is this tantrum sounds a bit strong? I don't think so. Based on what we know, I don't think that his teammates were pissed at him. That sounds like a tantrum to me.
It was enough to almost get him sent home. I think that's fine.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, again, that doesn't mean that we're canceling Gio Reyna. I'm not saying any of that. In fact, I've been very loud with the fact that, that Gio Reyna should be a part of this team and they've got to figure it out and all that stuff. Yeah. I don't know. Gio is 20. GGG is 50. One of the two isn't acting his age. Is that? Do you buy that? Do you agree with that?
No.
I mean, I know what he's saying. But
I think Berhalter made a naive mistake in December. Which I don't know that is equal to not acting your age. I think that is a naive mistake.
I'm ready to stamp a big ass N on Gregg Berhalter's forehead for naive because you're right. That's what Gregg Berhalter tends to do.
I don't think that's the same thing as not acting your age or being immature. I think he is also naive in the way he has chosen to kind of hide behind he didn't get called into the last camp as a reason why he didn't talk to Gio. I think he firmly believes that, but I think it's a naive point of view. I don't think that he's immature. I just think he's naive. Maybe that's the same thing to some people. I don't know.
Okay, he's naive and he's an overthinker, and I think that applies not just to his soccer tactics, but to a lot of things he does. I think he overthinks. This is the whole leadership cult nonsense. That, look, I know there's probably good stuff there, and you can learn to self-improve about, but the whole, overdoing it with the leadership cult stuff, that I think is the overthinking element of Gregg Berhalter, and I think it hurts him in this job. I think it's hurt him in his situation of how he's handled the Gio Reyna thing. I mean, there's lots of things about Berhalter's personality that aren't great for leading this team. I think he should get some credit for the culture that he helped build, because a lot of these players really do buy into that. They really do, think he's the right guy, or at least was the right guy.
I believe Christian Pulisic is bought in. I believe Weston McKennie is bought in. I think there's a few key players
Yunus
on this
Musa
roster
is bought in
that
sure.
I
mean, maybe Feller and Balogun and Gio can form a Gregg Berhalter haters club or something. I don't know.
I think he's ready. I think he's ready. How about this one from speaking of naive? Is this naive from Luis? If Gio scores versus Germany, everything is forgotten. For a moment,
no.
For a moment,
no.
I think for a moment it is.
I mean, I do think that let's go back to the Dortmund thing for a second.
Okay.
And I think Berhalter and Reyna is a talented player, and I think he's going to find his place at some point. And maybe it's not at Dortmund, but all of this is kind of moot, or at least on some level, it's moot if he's not playing regular minutes at a high level. Like, it's just. We can talk about his place in the team, and should Berhalter find a role for him in a
never mattered for Christian Pulisic.
Okay, when though? No, but Christian Pulisic came in. Hold on, Christian Pulisic came into this team as what, a 17-year-old, an 18-year-old for World Cup qualifying. Was part of the failure for 2018. Sure. He earned his opportunity, right, to be a central figure for this U.S. men's national team, regardless of his club situation on some level, right? And he established himself enough at Dortmund to get into that team. And then when he moved to Chelsea before the last year or so, when things fell apart, he was an important part of he played enough, right? He was part of a Champions League winning squad. He did some things that kind of bought him credit. I'm not saying that you give him a pass if he never plays at all. And injuries were part of Christian Pulisic's stories, just like they are with Gio Reyna. But again, who's got the longer resume? Who's got the greater history of success, club and country? It's Christian Pulisic. I don't think it's remotely the same thing. And I'm not saying that. Hold on. I'm not saying Gio isn't in the team if he's not getting regular minutes. I'm saying he's not a starter. He's not a guy you have to put in the squad if he never gets off the bench for Dortmund. If he finds a club to play for, or Dortmund suddenly decides that he's an important part of this team, and Terzic moves him in, or maybe Terzic moves on if things don't improve at Dortmund, then yeah, absolutely he should be figured out to be part of this team.
Have you moved to my position yet? Are you still on
No, aliens are still not real.
Terzic.
Sorry.
I said he should have moved over the summer. I didn't think he had a future at Dortmund based on how Terzic looked at him last year.
Okay, but when you say move, there are lots of things. There's two sides. Two sides have to
Let's
be involved
assume
in
it's a decent move. Whatever.
Jared, I don't know if you know this, but two entities have to agree. I'm not going to do certain hand signals, but there has to be, there has to be consent. What I'm saying is, if Dortmund doesn't really have a place for Gio, they're not going to sell him for like 5 million euros. Right? No matter what, because of his talent. Everybody knows he's a talented player, and he's still 20. It would be stupid to sell him for that kind of... Now, if somebody comes in with 30, you sell him. But I don't think anybody, based on his history and his injury situation, was going to get...
I don't think you're going to get 30 for him unless you start playing him some.
Okay, but that's the double-edged sword. That's the catch-22, for a club like Dortmund, who is a selling club, is do we play this kid who we don't necessarily think is going to be great for us long-term, or, whatever the reason is, like, do you give minutes to a guy just to bump him up in terms of value?
I'm shocked they gave him a summer. I think his value was good enough after the World Cup. Well, not after the World Cup. After, like, those string of substitute goal performances, he was healthy again for the first time in a while. Yeah. This is an injury-prone player. They should have moved on him before the summer, knowing he was going to play in international football.
I don't know what his value was at the time. I can't tell you if I had a handle on it.
I'd be surprised if they get bid on it again.
Maybe. But so if there was not enough value or interest in the market, like you have to have somebody willing to meet your price, and I don't think Dortmund, again, was going to sell him on the cheap, then the only other option is a loan. And I maybe there were loan opportunities, but his agent clearly didn't go out and find him one because we would have heard about it. So Gio's the one who decided he wanted to stay.
In the end, I think that Gio should get a start one game, and I think Adam should get a start one game. Both games with Musa and McKennie.
But you're saying that with no sense of their fitness at all.
Assuming they're well enough to suit up for their game, their teams, and we're still talking, what, 2 weeks from the game? Roughly a week and a half?
Week and a half.
But Gio's been suiting up for 2 weeks. Adam suited up this weekend and played 20. We're going to be a month from when Gio was put back on a roster for Champions League minutes, potentially.
Okay, but but you're saying if he hasn't had any game minutes,
if they both come in at 90-minute fit, I would like to see a game of.
Well,
both.
that's to me that's the X factor, like knowing whether
or
they're
60-minute
fit.
They don't have to be a 90-minute player.
I mean, if they're like Weston McKennie, they don't get fit through training. They can only get fit through game time.
By the way, doesn't it look like that's a real thing now? The dude always seems like that's really what he needs.
Oh, he's a gamer. The dude's a gamer.
How does every year he earns a spot back at Juventus after eating Dove bars all summer? Like, I don't understand how he does this.
I've said this before about Weston McKennie. Number one, the dude is charismatic as hell. Like, as hell. We talked about this a lot. I think that matters. So, like, I think that even Allegri, who's kind of this stoic Italian figure, cannot help but be enchanted by this dude who runs around doing Harry Potter celebrations and stuff. Like, I think people like him, and I think that helps him within the context of the team. But I also think Weston McKennie, as he's a very, very good soccer player, I don't think he'll ever get to world class. He is an incredible athlete. Like, he is a next level athlete, and I think every coach that sees him recognizes that, and it becomes one of those things that gets in your head. Like, oh, he can do things nobody else can do. Sometimes he's not consistent enough with it to like earn that opportunity for a full season. The weird
thing for me that maybe this speaks to the athletic thing that you're saying is that I feel he's had 3 main coaches at Juventus, if I remember correctly. Yeah, Pirlo when he first got there. Allegri now, and there was someone in between Allegri and was
there somebody between Allegri and?
I thought there was someone in between, but either way, 3 seasons. I feel every season he convinces a coach that he's a different position. Like, the dude started with Pirlo playing like at winger, and then last season he was being played more in midfield. This year he's being played at right back. It speaks to the athleticism, but at the same time, how is he a master of nothing but like a champion of all?
It was directly from Pirlo to Allegri. Before that was Sarri. He didn't play for Sarri.
Oh yeah, he was Pirlo.
So did Pulisic play for Sarri though?
Don't know.
Did he play for Sarri? I don't know. I can't remember all the Chelsea managers either. Anyway, so I mean, Gio Reyna back. At least contact has been made, and hopefully that means something. I don't.
Did you expect to hear something from Gio's side though? Just confirming.
I don't know. I mean, what is this like? It's not international relations. Like it's just a couple.
It kind of is. One's here, one's there. That's international.
No, I know, but it's just a couple of people trying to figure some shit out. Like, and I'm not. Even without, if you kind of remove the whole who's right, who's wrong thing, and just think about it as a relationship that needs mending for whatever reason. I don't know if Gio is still hostile to Gregg. Maybe he is. I don't know if Gregg is still hurt by the Reyna stuff and the family and the
really hope
betrayal.
That Gio's camp had the balls and forethought to record that conversation for 10 years.
Gio's camp. Who are you talking about here? Like
his roommate? I don't know.
I mean, you think Gio's got hangers on? Like, I know Weston does. I know Weston's got like a photo guy.
I'm just saying
barber
that. Can you imagine how juicy that would be down the road to have?
Man, I mean,
the fly on the wall of that conversation.
Do you think it would actually be interesting? Because I don't think it would be interesting.
Do you think the players knew they were being recorded when they did all those "you're on the World Cup team" roster things? Do you think that they were being recorded for that purpose to be used in that?
Yeah, I think they had to tell them that. Yeah.
So didn't they already know that they made the team? So it's all fake.
You're saying they recorded them ahead of time.
I'm saying, is there a Pepe tape and is there a? Oh, whoa, that sounds like Trump.
Why would there be a Pepe tape? He called him to tell him he wasn't on the team.
But but here's the thing. Either those guys they called to make the team knew before the call they made the team.
No.
Because they were going to videotape them. Or they had to videotape everyone and the bad news is on tape somewhere as well.
No, why not?
You either spoil the surprise.
Man. I don't know. I mean, you just tell everybody who made the team you're going to get a call from Berhalter, and then they don't know exactly what that call is going to be, and then you just tape their reaction because it's still natural.
You think all the calls with Berhalter are video calls?
I think that U.S. Soccer could. U.S. soccer could tell. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you're right. Maybe that's.
I'm saying
maybe that exists
just
somewhere.
like Trump, I want to see the Pepe tapes.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Sure. No golden showers in that one. Hopefully. All right. Let's talk about Lionel Messi. No, let's not talk about. I mean, we have to, right? Because he didn't play, and that became the story at Drive Pink Stadium in Fort Lauderdale, Jared.
Yeah, I mean, I think you and I talked about it last week. I think we both put it at a low percentage, both from the fact that he hasn't played in a number of weeks, didn't look good going back all the way to Argentina, a lot of games on there, and there's a potential season playoff run ahead. It was always going to be kind of a high risk, low reward situation if you play Messi.
I give Tata Martino credit. That dude plays head games, and I like that. I need more MLS coaches willing to play mind games with their opponents. And it wasn't anything like over the top, but he was like, yeah, we're considering playing Messi. If it wasn't a final, we wouldn't consider it all. But, we are, he wasn't like technically lying.
He had that luxury because the game was so close to home. They didn't have to fly for the game. So where you travel a roster and you see, Messi didn't travel.
Right.
The dude could have showed up that night.
Yeah, yes, right. There's that.
He did show up, just not dressed.
He did show up. He showed up with Jordi Alba. He's wearing black on black. That's not a move I've ever tried. Have you ever tried that?
Man, it shows everything.
Black shirt, black pants.
You can't have a pet and wear black on black.
I mean, what? So you're saying like dog hair gets on?
Yeah, dude.
It's on the material, and then you have to run around with one of those rollers. And since we're men, we don't really carry.
But
bags
Messi
for
can
rollers.
afford to have a roller guy like Jerome with Prince, like just holds the mirror. Like he's got his roller guy.
That's awesome. Yeah, Lionel Messi's got a roller guy.
Pepe, so, roll.
By the way, Zinedine Zidane in the building.
That's his roller
to watch that game. He was a guest of Mr. Beckham, also in the building and having a very good time. James Harden, NBA superstar. James Harden
having a very good time.
He was happy.
I'm happy for that. I'm more owners like James Harden who are not afraid to have like a chicken wing and like a good time.
I think that dude is the kind of guy, and I talked to somebody today who covers the Dynamo, and they were like, yeah, he's come out a couple times, but it's not very often. Look, during the, once you get into the NBA preseason and the season, it's going to be hard for him to make games, but he's come out a couple times, whatever. I think James Harden, though, is absolutely that dude who relishes the idea of his team beating Messi's team. Like, I don't think he has hostile feelings towards Messi. I think he's just... Do
you think he can name 5 players...
on the Houston Dynamo?
Yeah, that too. Forget his own team. Can he name 5 other soccer players that aren't named Messi?
Oh, there's this incredible picture. Let me see if I could. I don't know if I can find it really fast, but there's this incredible picture. I say incredible. I get a lot out of it. I don't know if it's necessarily that interesting for other people, but it's the stage is up and the medal ceremony is happening.
Yeah.
The trophy ceremony is happening, and it's James Harden shaking Sergio Busquets' hand. Have you seen this picture, Jerry?
I have. Yeah, it looks like some random dude walked on the field. Well, it's like also, Salt Bay made it back on the field.
It's also the way that Harden carries himself. Oh. He's like just very upright, very stiff, and he's like shake. And Busquets and Harden are basically the same height, so it's got that it's got a very interesting vibe. I mean, Sergio Busquets is this big around, but still, James Harden had himself a blast. The Dynamo win. A 24-year-old American kid scored his second goal of the year to put the Dynamo up. Griffin Dorsey. If you lose to a dude, Griffin Dorsey's a lacrosse name. It's not a soccer name.
Yeah, that dude's got a trust fund.
It probably does, yeah. How many mil in Griffin Dorsey's trust fund?
Griffin Dorsey, not this one, but another guy named Griffin Dorsey that sounds just like this. Yeah. Has a guy his dad's told him to call if he ever gets in trouble.
Oh, absolutely. But this Griffin Dorsey also told his parents, I don't need your money. I'm moving to Aspen, and I'm just going to teach snowboarding. That Griffin Dorsey also did that. And he smokes a ton. That Griffin Dorsey, not this Griffin Dorsey, smokes a ton of weed. Like a ton of, more weed than a human being should take it. That's right. He's got a bong from every state he's visited.
He has a friend. It's so far away. He has a friend that has to pull the bowl for him.
It's just the bong is so big.
That's how he got so good at soccer. He had to learn how to do it with his toes.
He was reaching out, reaching around. Yeah, hacky sack, man. That's incredible for those skills. People still?
But you know who I'm happy for? You know who I'm happy for?
Well,
I'm happy for Ben Olsen, dude.
Oh, Benny Olsen's the best.
How do you Olsen's the best. How does someone not be happy for Ben Olsen today?
I mean, I know there are people who don't like his soccer when he was with DC United and stuff like that. But that dude is, first of all, he is low-key hilarious.
Yeah,
Ben Olsen is a very funny guy.
After Bruce Arena, maybe second best kept press conference guy.
Oh, he can be, yeah. Sometimes he's good, sometimes he's bad. But when he's bad, he's entertaining too. So I guess there's.
And he's down to give a quote. Like Pablo's got like access to Ben Olsen. Like Pablo always got the best of Ben Olsen.
I know this is not probably good podcasting YouTube show technique, but I believe it's Pablo Maurer. Back when the guys were doing Open Wide for Some Soccer, and I think we're 2 weeks in a row on Open Wide for Some Soccer getting mentions on this show. Back when it was Pablo, Thomas, and Seth doing Open Wide for Some Soccer, and they were all in DC, and they're all covering DC United. There's literal audio of this. They're sitting in the press meal room. This is at RFK. This is before Audi opened. This place was a dump. I mean, you're talking about bad press box food.
They cooked the raccoons
at RFK. You can get stewed raccoon with your ramekin of coleslaw. They have audio of Ben Olsen walking into that room and talking about something about mind control and rats, and he just kind of dumps on this thing he saw or heard about, where I think it might be that thing where there's a parasite that attacks. Maybe that's wrong. I don't know. It was something about rats. Is all I know. It was the funniest.
Somebody
thing.
Clip it up.
It was incredible. Ben Olsen's and he's not doing Benny Ball. He's not doing DC United Benny Ball.
I think
right?
I think with DC United, outside of Rooney, they always seemed like they would get a collection of players that didn't have anything to do with each other. I never felt there was a lot of cohesion in the rosters. Like,
okay.
And that's a statement on MLS in general too. A lot of times you're just getting the best you can for the money.
I mean, they were a team made up of MLS replacement level players. They remember when we used to do a thing where we were like, who's the most average sort of bog standard player at a position in MLS? I mean, obviously the league has changed a lot, but it used to be like Wells Thompson is just the MLS fullback, like the average MLS fullback that comes to your mind.
That's
Scott
what
DC
Abel
United was.
Like
who was it?
Scott Abel or something like that. I can't remember.
Sure. I could come up with a couple others, but
I think one of the things that's different this time around, and I don't know why this is, but there's something about Hector Herrera that is, you would think even MLS would be past him at this point. He doesn't look fast when he's out there or anything like that.
That's
and
not
when you saw him with
game.
the Messi, it is. They found a collection of players that will play off him so well. Like small entry pass, intricate little small passes, and then the diagonal run to release.
It's one of those things that's interesting about MLS, and I don't know that it necessarily reflects well on the league right now that this is happening in Houston, but I don't think it, whatever. Don't look past it if you're a Houston Dynamo fan. Don't look any deeper than Ache is playing really well. He's one of the top assist men in Major League Soccer this season. Yeah. He's up there, top 3 or 4. Now, MLS counts assists very liberally, but even then, he's still doing incredibly well, setting up his teammates. What you never thought. I mean, he was good for an occasional goal or an occasional pass with Mexico. And when he was in Spain, he was more of a box-to-box defensive midfield type guy, right? Like you would play him deeper lying, and he's great at passing the ball from those positions, but you never thought of him as the guy who was going to make the final pass. So Houston's turned him into a 10. I mean, he's not a 10, but he's a 10. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it's because he's an excellent soccer player, and he sees the game at a level that nobody in Houston has seen it before, or at least not, I don't know, since the days of...
And it's interesting to see that you saw the flashes of Corey Barrett at RSL, thinking like this could be a guy that someone could build around, but it's just like RSL never quite got it done. Houston has really found a way to use him in a very smart way, and they play him like a solo striker. Like that's the interesting thing about it. I wouldn't have thought him as a up the middle. Well,
he can play. Guy. He does play that way. But yeah, that's. I also think that was kind of.
I think RSL always had him more on the wing, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. He was a wing player. He was kind of like the standard kind of straight line MLS wing player, right? And I think some of that's been forced on Ben playing him centrally. But hey, if it works, it works. It doesn't matter, right? By the way, the name, because Benny Ball doesn't apply, or at least what he's doing in Houston is not the Benny Ball we think of, they have taken to calling it Joga Benito in Houston.
Like it.
You like it?
And you
put it on a T-shirt.
I want to just shout out one other player. One really low-key player that I don't know a lot of people in MLS have paid attention this year is Mikael is a good defender, man.
Mm-hmm.
The Brazilian center back for Houston. That was one of the guys that really kind of broke out this season for me. I think he's been locked down. I remember when the Galaxy played him at the Duke. I can't tell you how many attacks that guy stopped. I think he's a very, very, very interesting player to watch going into next year too. The question,
don't forget about Carrasquilla too. He deserves a mention. Yeah.
The question is, how do you pour gas on this, and like how do you make it sustainable? Because Hector Herrera only has a finite number of games left in him. Maybe he has another season. How do you turn what they're doing right now and go from the team that's maybe 6th in the West to the team that's threatening for top 4? Or is Houston just not going to be that team? Because they don't have their sights on that. They're not that. What's the word I'm looking for?
Well, I think that they're probably, this is what they're probably going to do. Whether it works or not is a different question. And everything I've heard and the people I've talked to with Houston is
4th in the West right now.
They're 4th in the West right now. It's tight. It's a parity is reigning in the West. They are finally kicking into gear on a scouting network and using scouting to go find. They literally never did that before.
Yeah,
like during the heyday of that Dom Kinnear-led team with Brad Davis and Brian Ching and Rico Clark and Bobby Boswell, Stu Holden for a little while. They were basically just like the Revs and just like any good team in MLS. They were very good at drafting players, right? They just picked the players who came out of college. Hey,
that's
where
they
player.
come from anymore.
Let's go play some soccer and win some championships. And they won back-to-back, and they went to 2 other finals. Now the world has changed, right? And when Ted Siegel took over, which is only like 2 years ago now, they did not have a scouting department. I mean, there's certainly not a modern one relative to MLS standards, and MLS took a long time to get there, but finally teams started to be like, okay, let's spend some money on scouting.
As a guy who talks about soccer every day for his life, can you think of one Houston Development Academy product?
No, they don't do that.
Me either.
No, they don't do that. I mean, that's the thing.
And that's where it comes down to. The draft isn't a place where you get marquee players anymore. You have to either develop them or source them. And if you're not going to do either one, that's Houston's story for the last 4 years.
The only player is actually a guy playing for your boys these days is Memo Rodriguez.
No, he's back with Austin now.
Oh, he moved on.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Forgot about that. He moved on. Well, so that's a guy who came out, but I mean, he was okay. He was a pretty decent player.
I thought he came out of Chivas's system.
I mean, he was with Houston for a little while. Whether he was technically a homegrown side, somebody else could figure
Chivas USA way back in the day, but I could be wrong. But
Memo Rodriguez? No, I don't think that's right. This is a good point. I mean, this is the way that I think of them too. If they had a big time number 9, they would be very scary, right? Great as it is to see Corey Barrett scoring goals, it would be nice if they had a number 9.
So that's the answer to the question. That's the place you can pour gas on this team.
The question is, they spent more money on Ache in terms of salary than they spent on anybody else in the history of the club. And I think Siegel is different money than Gabriel Brenner. Was that his name? Somebody would tell me. Gabriel Brenner, I think, was the previous owner. And obviously AG. And AG didn't have to spend any money because, again, they were drafting guys.
That was a bailout.
And they didn't really care. They were Houston was the other team in AG's portfolio, so they didn't give a crap. They weren't spending money. They spent more on Herrera than anybody else in terms of salary. The question is, will they go and now double down, spend $6, $7, $8, $10 million on a talent, probably from South America, the way that a lot of these clubs have done? I mean, if they had a Facu Torres, if they had a Thiago Almada, if they had give me there's a lot of those players in this league, right?
Yeah.
They could be,
LSC finds plenty of them.
LSC finds they fall off of trees apparently into LAFC's lap all the
time.
John
Thornton's a hell of a general manager.
I mean,
that's what it comes
they
down
could
to.
be that team. And I said today that I think that in terms of upside potential, right? Like the ceiling of the club relative to where they are now, there might not be a club that has a higher ceiling than the Houston Dynamo. I
don't feel the same way because I don't think they have an owner that's going to back them with that next level player. I don't think they're going to spend the cash, and I don't know if their scouting is deep enough at doing it for a year now.
No, they're going to be able to build that out. And I'm not saying it's going to happen right away. This is not the argument. The argument about their upside isn't, oh, they're definitely going to become this next level elite team. I'm saying that they've shown signs of life, which they haven't done. They haven't made the playoffs since 2017. They're showing signs of life. They have a GM who I think knows the league. I think he whiffed on a bunch of players last year. Clearly whiffed on Paulo Nagamura as a coach. And I think he's learned. He's been given a second chance, and he's learned some lessons, and he's listened to some people. I think you're wrong about Ted Siegel. I think he's got the cash. And I think that he's going to be spurred on by the Messi situation and by the rising interest in the league. And I think, Houston is a massive place, like population and area. So there's so much potential they haven't tapped into. Like it's a Mexican soccer town. It's a international soccer town.
For
it's
sure.
not a Dynamo town, and it can be a Dynamo town.
It was at one point. It's not that far away with all those players you were talking about.
I don't think it really was. I think it was MLS 1.0. A small group of very diehard soccer fans liked having a winner in town and went out to Robertson Stadium and watched them play. And they did good
like that.
They did good with numbers in terms of attendance and stuff at the time, I think. But they weren't like important the way the Astros are important or the way the teams now can be important in their markets, right? Because this is a different MLS.
Here's where I fall up against something, though, and I get everything you're saying, and I don't necessarily disagree. I think they're a team that has that ceiling that you're talking about.
Yeah.
But when I look at the teams that are above them in the standings, Seattle and LAFC have a track record of buying, scouting, and acquiring the level of talent that makes it very difficult to ever penetrate that echelon.
Sure.
And then outside of that, you have St. Louis ahead of them. And it's only one season, and we saw Austin what one season could do to a team.
Right.
But St. Louis has been so incredibly impressive at being able to source talent that complements each other.
Well, sure, that's true. I don't know that St. Louis's approach now is sustainable over, say, a 10-year period. Like the thing about the Sounders, well, first of all, Garth Lagerwey was pulling a lot of those strings, and not initially, but pretty quickly after they started. I think that obviously they have enough forward momentum from that era that it's carrying them forward. And right now, even people, the Sounders aren't playing the best soccer they've ever played, and there are lots of questions about them. They're going to age out. This generation is getting old pretty fast in Seattle, so they're going to have to navigate a change. But and there's lots of difficult things about that. Like St. Louis is obviously doing incredible things in year one, but it's year one. I reserve judgment. LAFC has proven that they can be pretty consistently good. They navigated a coaching change, a little bit of an identity change. I think that they figured out how to weather the Carlos Vela gets old.
I believe in John
storm.
Thornton. As long as John Thornton is at the helm of that, I think they're going to be fine. Where I find problem is that Houston, Salt Lake, those are kind of the same team to me. But let me finish, because just like the Colorado Rapids a few years ago, I think Houston and Salt Lake have the ability to put a good season out, but they've nowhere in their history outside of Salt Lake for about 3 years.
Yeah.
Can you look in Houston for about 3 years? Can you look and see a track record of success?
No, but I think you're missing a couple things. First of all, RSL is one of the smallest markets in the league, which is going to limit their ability to go out and spend, because as rich as the guys who own that club are, they're not going to just dump money into a toilet and flush it down. They're going to, they want to see some of that come back. Houston, and you mentioned Colorado. Colorado has terrible owners who don't give a shit about them at all. I don't think that's the case with Houston. They're in a massive market. They have a lot more sort of growth potential, even on paper, if you want to get all businessy about it, than either RSL or Colorado. And I think you're right in terms of
their template is harder to replicate year over year over year. Because
you don't even know what their template is yet. That's the point, right? Okay. Because of the ownership only being a couple years in, because Onstad being a couple years in, because they didn't even have an infrastructure to operate like a competent MLS
I am choosing to put them in a pot with Real Salt Lake, and maybe that is an unfair
Stop putting
example.
Things in a pot. That's not.
But when I look at something like when you have something like the LA Galaxy this upcoming offseason, if they hold on to Ricky Puig with 3 DPs, the approach that a team like LA is going to put versus the approach that Houston has to put, I would put my money on LA Galaxy next season with in a Chris Klein era, 3 DPs to spend, and Ricky Puig still there.
Okay,
I would put my money there.
Again, this is my gut. I don't have anything to back this up, but what I witnessed, right? What I see. Siegel comes in, he hires Pat Onstad. They get it wrong in year one. They make a coaching change. Onstad changes his approach in terms of player recruitment. I think as soon as this team shows that it can compete, the owner is going to be like, okay, give me my checkbook. Let's go do this.
I hope so. I hope for the people of Houston, they deserve it. They've been waiting a long time for another shot at consistent success, and it's been a tough road. Same thing with RSL.
This is why we need Nicholas Soup and Sausage here to tell us when we've gone over time on a topic, because I feel like we've been talking about this entirely too long.
Talk about the East.
I don't want to talk about the East. I want to talk about ticket prices in Miami, Jared. That controversy erupted today on the internet because season ticket holders for Inter Miami got their renewal notices, and their prices have doubled and tripled and quadrupled and exploded. And people are pissed, Jared. Do you think they have a right to be pissed?
Yes, I do. I think if you're going to try to gouge them, you gouge the newcomers. I think returning season ticket holders, well, they should have an increase because the quality, the attention, the fanfare, the glitz is worth something. I think everyone that's holding a season ticket package in Miami realizes that and expects an increase. But there's a difference between increase and a gouge. And I think double is maybe you can get away with it for what they're doing now. The quality in the field is double what they were putting out last season. The results, right? The attention. But right. I think you go, if you're going to try to make your money, you try to make it with the away fan that's traveling to see Messi or the tourism market or something like that. I think you need to do something. You got to do something to take care of the people that were there from the beginning.
Okay. We again have sort of this problem of how we think of our teams, right? And this idea that they are we own them, right? They are ours. We know not physically, we know like legally we don't own them, but they're ours. They're our teams.
Till we die.
And therefore they are absolutely until we die, until we go belly up. Can you put that? Until I go belly up. That's pretty good.
Wordy.
Yeah. No, I like it. I think it's
Would
good.
It fit on a banner?
Wordy sometimes works if you can really sell it. They're not, right? And so the people in charge, the people who write the checks and pay the bills, they look at it and they go, well, how much are we bringing in? How much are we paying out? How do we make these numbers work together, right? Just like any other business. And look, I know this sucks, but this is a part of the deal. And I'm not saying that I like these numbers, and I think it's ridiculous how high these numbers are going. But let's be honest, they are spending crazy amounts of money more than they spent last year.
You're going to price yourself into Roy Keane prawn sandwich territory here, where there's going to be no atmosphere at the team.
Do you think they care about that?
I would hope so, because if you're going to mortgage the culture of your club for 3 strong years of financial success, I think you're doing damage in your community.
I'm covering up our beautiful faces so that people can see. This is not the stadium diagram with the actual colors. This is just the numbers because I had to zoom in big on this graphic. So we've got premium and standard. So if you are on the west sideline, I was focused on standard. I think that's where people usually are going to be looking for tickets. Suites are not a thing. But premium, maybe we should talk about certain parts of that too. West sideline, $2,700.
I don't think that's too bad. I'm going to tell you why. I don't know what I would consider that. That's for one ticket, season ticket package, right?
I believe that's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
If that's the case, I don't think that's that bad. Let me give you a story that's aged by time. My wife, in 1 year after we met each other, we had our second Christmas together. And for that Christmas, she got me LA Galaxy season tickets.
All right. Wow. What a woman.
Like, this is the keeper, right? Like, put a ring on it kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was 1 month.
She knew that was coming back.
It was
in a ring, by the way. She knew that.
It was 2 weeks before the signing of David Beckham.
Oh,
I've never got better ground level market
God.
pricing on
Perfect.
something ever, right?
Perfect.
And I think at the height of Beckham area, when I was renewing my tickets before I had my kids and stuff like that, 2008, 2009, I think I was paying like $1,400 to $1,600 for a ticket on the equivalent of a West Sideline seat.
Okay.
So and we're talking about 10 to 13 years later, inflation being what it is.
Yeah.
I don't know that that's too bad based off of when I also saw sensationalized inflated ticket pricing for the only thing that's been close to what's going on with Messi, which was Beckham circa 2008, 2009.
Cheapest season ticket on this is in Section K or Area K, South Stand, $867. I can't read the North Stand reserved, but
I'm assuming that sideline is midfield. I don't know what premium is there. I'm not sure
midfield
what that means.
Because there are these are premium.
I should say my tickets, my ball sack was on the half line, 8 rows up.
The rest, where was the rest of you? Was it like another seat up?
I mean, luckily I was a younger man, so they were literally 3 inches from there.
They're right there with you. I don't know when this became a ball sack podcast. I don't know when that
Did I ever
happened.
take you to my season tickets back in the day when you came out
Nah,
here? No, you had press box every time you came out.
I never got out there during a regular game. I only got out there for MLS Cup finals and stuff like that, just to like
best seats
hang
ever,
out
man.
at
I
the
love
dojo.
that seats. Row H, section 132.
Speaking of open wide for some soccer, the dojo, we did this like Voltron show.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, I was there.
Yeah, we did that with the boys. It was the best soccer show and open wide for some soccer, and I think some other guys were just hanging. Chucky Bohm was in the building. Chucky Bohm in the building. This is all like
Pablo stayed there too. Oh yeah, Pablo's on that side show, of course.
Pablo was there. And
Chucky Bohm,
Seth was there. And Chucky Bohm was there, and I think John Arnold was there. I think John Arnold was in the building too.
John was there.
So who's who of great soccer
old
media
people who some made it and some didn't.
Everybody's Big J now, I think, for the most part in that group. No, not you. You might be the outlier. You might be the only one who was involved in that house who didn't go pro as a soccer.
I think
person.
Seth. It doesn't Seth.
Seth runs. Seth works.
Not Seth. I'm not Seth.
Thomas.
Thomas. Thomas works for Washington Examiner, though, right? Not doing. He does more cultural and art stuff, right?
No, Thomas. I believe Thomas is at the Washington Post these days, and
he
he occasionally gets pulled into soccer stuff. But he is doing like soccer. He's doing cultural coverage too. He covers like the theater scene.
I'm telling you, man, cream rises to the top, and the spoiled milk went to the bottom. That's me.
By the way, go sign up just because I'll just like we could do all these plugs right now, right? Let's do some plugs. Sure. Go sign up for Get CONCACAF, which is John Arnold's newsletter. Hire him for freelance work. I think
it's
he's
always
out there.
freaky to see him speak Spanish. The whitest Boyd. He has such the best Spanish.
It's probably way better than mine. I haven't. Maybe I should do that like on a bonus show. Just give you guys some of my Spanish and see where I am. You could do that. Anyway, go support John Arnold. Read the Washington Post. Let's see. Seth is at. What's the name of that website? It's not Pro Soccer. Is it Pro Soccer Wire? Is that where he is? Is that where Seth is?
Search Seth Vertelny.
Seth Vertelny. Pablo Maurer. You've already signed up for the Athletic.
Chucky Bohm's MLS Soccer.
Chucky Bohm is still doing all over the place work. He's everywhere. Go read Chucky Bohm stuff. What am I missing? Am I missing anybody? Me? Listen to my radio show. Jared, listen to my radio show. Please.
WNBC.
Please.
You can catch me playing disc golf in the Southern California area most Sundays.
Sign up for Sirius XM and listen to the United States of Soccer from 12 to 3 Eastern Time. Adjust for your time zone. Please do that. Actually, since we're plugging, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/thebestsoccershow, Slack access to the community. It's great. Bonus show access. Last week was, what did we talk about last week, Jared?
We didn't do one last week.
The week before. What did we talk about the week? Was that the ball sack episode?
That was ball sack, and there was also like a what are we reading now kind of stuff, and you told me I'm not truly reading.
We cover the whole gamut. We go about talking about Jared's lack of testicular support to what are you reading right now. That's what we do on the bonus show. Yeah, I want to debut some new stuff on the bonus show at some point. We talk about
we need to take Soup and Salad back to do a few things.
Nick talks about drinking in driveways. That's always good stuff.
I don't think we've had Nick on the bonus show since he had his sugar like rush drunk experience. Okay,
you know what?
It's going to be on the Patreon. It is for that moment.
I thought about grabbing that and putting that somewhere, but it's on the Patreon.
He has to have permission. But so on the Patreon,
sure.
If you guys weren't already thinking about getting on, Nick went and has some weird jungle juice crap that I'm starting to like Cincinnati. That would only be appropriate in a 1998 frat house. It literally had like Simply lemonade and
what did he say?
Kool-Aid and
what was
vodka.
it called? What was it called?
I don't know.
Did it have a
like
name?
Adolescent juice? I don't know what it was. Like
and Ohio
and the dude
Ohio
proceeded to drink the entire thing and then record himself throughout the night fully drunk. Talking about how he basically his wife wanted to leave him that night because he was drunk.
I wonder. So
how he's gonna puke.
Nick is a fairly sizable individual. Like he's got some heft to him. I'm sure, like metabolizing wise, like his body can probably handle a decent amount of alcohol.
Never drinks alcohol.
He doesn't drink. I know he doesn't have any tolerance. So you combine these, a big dude with no tolerance.
And also the dude doesn't ever really drink alcohol. So he decided to drink the sugariest crap. Like everyone knows that's what gives you hangovers and makes you sick is the sugar. You can't put all the sugar in your body with the alcohol.
I mean, you can if you want to. You just have to be ready to pay the price.
Where we just teach Nick how to drink.
You've tried that. You've tried to do something.
He doesn't listen. He goes and does this stupid TikTok crap instead.
Well,
instead of trusting a friend.
This is why I have decided. My wife and I said this on maybe the last bonus show. I don't remember. I was telling Jared I got an anniversary trip coming up, which is why October is going to be a little spotty for us. So I'll go ahead and throw that out here too. Next week I got some family in town here, and then I had some other things are happening, and then I'm going on an anniversary trip with my wife. 5 years, Jared. 5 years.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I the only relationship longer than the one I have with my wife, the one with you. 5 years. We're going up to the Finger Lakes of New York. It's going to be lovely.
I predate your kid too, don't I?
You predate. No, you predate.
2009.
My kid was born in 2008.
Okay, so yeah, he predates me.
No,
bastard.
How dare he? How dare he come before you in this relationship? We're going to the Finger Lakes, and my wife is like showing me Instagram pictures from like certain places in the area that we can check out. She's always adding things to the list, and she's like, "Oh, look, they have an old fashioned." And I was like, "Nah, I'm not into old fashioned. No more old fashions."
The part thing about the old fashioned, it's like ordering. What's something similar to this? Man, what's something you order and then depending where you're at, it is vastly different each time you get it.
That's a thing. Everybody's got their own twist on the old fashioned.
I mean, if it looks like a fruit freaking cocktail inside, like you don't have the right one.
I think you can get a very good old fashioned. I just don't need the sugar and the bitters. I just need the whiskey. Just give me the whiskey. I'll be good. Just give me the whiskey. I mean, I like a little ice. I do. I'm not the guy who goes.
I don't do neat.
I don't need. I think neat is gross, but if you do neat, good for you. You are a refined individual, right? You're a man who likes his whiskey. I don't know.
Uch Unit says anything with vermouth is a pass. Try sweet vermouth. Like go get yourself Negroni. Try that out.
Okay, I think you've mentioned Negronis before. I have never had one. The other thing I'll add is, again, a plug for me, not a plug for Jared. Jared does not care about this at all. In fact, he is actively working to tank my brand new show, which is on YouTube called One Shot on Frame. I think you're still hostile that I didn't invite you.
2 shots off target.
Who should I invite on?
I am boycotting until I'm on it.
That's what it is.
Go check it out, guys.
One Shot on Frame. Episodes up with let's see. The first one was Hercules Gomez. I posted with Alexi Lawless, and I know not everybody is a fan of Alexi Lawless. I would still encourage you to watch it. He's an interesting guy. Whatever you think of him and his approach to life and the world and soccer. Let's see. Who else did I post already? Taylor Rockwell. I was gonna post it in like multiple parts. I did post 2 shorter clips, and then I just posted the back half of it by itself.
I'll tell you what, I will start plugging actively your show when one person on that show mentions me.
One person on One Shot on Frame mentions you?
You had Taylor Rockwell on there and Alexi. I bet you neither one of you guys at any of those conversations mentioned me.
I'm sure somebody mentioned you before we went on air, before we started recording.
Don't count. That don't count.
Hey, look, there are
when I start getting some freaking respect around here.
There are comments from people who are like, Jared should be one of your guests. And I said, well, I don't want it to turn into an episode of the Best Soccer Show, but we could try it. We could definitely try it.
No one trying to see this.
I mean, who knows? Anyway.
We'll do a version of it on the Patreon of just a One Shot on Frame episode.
Jared's going to bring what photo would you do for the Patreon?
I know. I think I know what I would do.
You can't bring me a photo where you're mooning the camera. No, I don't think that's allowed.
I want that out there.
I don't know. You don't wear underwear. What kind of individual? What kind of deviants are you? You're impossible. The other thing I'll say about One Shot on Frame in the recent episode with Taylor is that it starts out, we talk about his daughter and the photo that he shared, which was him and his daughter going to a Kickers game. But then we absolutely get into some stuff about Daryl Grove and the start of their show and Daryl's passing and all that stuff. It's not, fun in the sense that it's sad that Daryl Grove left this world, but I liked going back and sort of talking to Taylor about who Daryl was and the importance he important role he played in getting Taylor to this place, right? To having an incredibly popular soccer podcast that is a business that can keep him going. All right. Do we have anything else we want to touch on? Is there other news out there in the soccer world?
No, but if you're watching this live right now on the YouTube, hit subscribe.
Should we celebrate do I have a celebration drop. I don't know. This isn't.
I don't know.
Hold on.
It's a celebration, bitches.
This one? Oh, hold on. Let me just make sure this works. My board is gonna crap out, which might mean we have no music going out tonight. It's not gonna work. It's giving up. 2,000 subscribers on YouTube. So congratulations to us.
Do we get a plaque for that? Is there something I hang back here for 2,000?
I don't think so. I don't think we got to get to 100.
Next week I'll draw
100,000.
one on a piece of cardboard and put it behind me like a play button.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Go ahead, put it back there. 2,000 subscribers. Let's get to 3,000 like right away, like that.
Tell a friend.
Tell a friend. Tell your homies. Tell your neighbor. Tell whoever that you like this show and that it's fun and it talks about soccer and other things. Again, I don't have a board, so I got no music. So we're gonna say goodnight. Jared, anything else? You done? I'm
out.
Okay. Bye, besties. Bye, besties.
Only the best.
Oh, sing it. Yeah, sing it out. Sing us out. Sing it. Keep going.
Only the best. The horror show.
J. Rodius. Ding.